serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Just when you think that it's safe to wind up the Christmas version of You Cannot Be Serious,
Santa Claus arrived.
The door opened and there's the chicken. The chicken, and I said, well, come in, let's not waste the opportunity. Come in and have a chat to us. So here's the chicken on Christmas. So welcome, chicken. I was speaking to the other day and someone said to me, someone said to you, have we given you the flick on the podcast because you're not on anymore? I said, that's not the case at all. By the very fact that you're here.
I said, drop back to the reserves or something.
Well, we've got the duck, you man that you used to manage. We've got the duck, usually has that seat, but he's tied up today with giving presents. He's driving all over Melbourne.
He's tied up. You mean he's busy, or he's actually
busy.
Tied up?
No, he's busy driving all over
I've
Melbourne.
Tied him up a few times.
To his kids. Hey?
I've tied him up a few times, I tell you.
Have you,
yeah.
Chicken? So how's everything going with you, Chicken? We can loosely say you're here to speak about football, but how's your love life
I had
going?
an interesting morning. I was just at the bakehouse with Ray. You know, Ray runs the bakehouse. She said, how's your morning? I said, I just went to Centrelink and they wanted proof of my ID and I didn't have any. She said, well, you should have dropped your shorts and shown your disability. Think about that, Sam. Sue smile.
I was wondering why you'd been to Centrelink. I thought that you might have been serious. How is all that going? Are you on probation to do it? You're on probation.
I'm on a community order, which I've already finished in the space of 3 months. Yeah, well, it was only, when I say only, it was 50 hours, but I was 50 hours of community work. And
I thought it was 900 hours or something.
It was originally it was 150, and I appealed it, and the magistrate or judge at the county court was terrific. She acknowledged the work I do in the community already, and you know, I do this. You've been there, Sam, supporting the battlers with Sue on a Wednesday night. So the community corrections people were very good. They said, we're happy for you to continue that work, Ricky. And what I did was, instead of going every second Wednesday, I went every Wednesday for the last 3 months.
So this was as a result of you manhandling the Australia Post man.
No, it was actually when you got me on your podcast and they replayed it in court and found me guilty because of what I said on your podcast.
Well, that wasn't my fault. You said he was struggling with...
I'm not blaming you at all, Sam.
Yeah, no.
Might have to bash you later for it, but no.
So you finished what did you have to do, incidentally, with community work?
What I do...
Tidy rubbish up on the freeway? Or?
Well, I used to just go there and help do the barbecue, and then that's changed a fair bit the last 6 months, where I've asked people in Bay Street, Port Melbourne, to contribute food. And my mates at Hunky Dory, Greg and Rocky, they do fish and chips Wednesday nights for me. Bakehouse donate food. Glenda Flow Vietnamese, and then last week of all businesses, Bunnings helped me out with some tables, because last week it's gone from 70 people last year who are struggling, need food, to there would have been like, I reckon, 300-400 there.
We're talking about the same thing. Is it when you were told you have to do 50 hours community service?
Yeah.
You didn't have to go out on a road gang and pick up litter on the side of the freeway. Is that what you had to do? Try and catch stuff for the homeless?
Yeah. So Bunnings and Coles helped me out last week. They were great.
So the court said, Ricky, if you can go out and help the homeless, that'll suffice.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Well, I think it's the whole idea of doing a community service is hardly, in my view, cleaning graffiti off the walls. I mean, if you can do something to help other people, and I'm not talking about me here, I'm talking about everyone. Yeah. And especially today's Christmas Day, do something for someone else.
Well done, Ricky. Well, now I tell you what I wanted to ask you. I just finished a discussion on the end of the first part of the podcast we did. Someone said you might know this man called Mouse. Do you know Mouse from Perth?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, don't start me on him.
No, that's right. He's
he's a mouse.
He's a rodent. He's a rat.
He's a bit worse.
Anyhow, he said to me, which I thought was a reasonable thing to say, but the boys here before said, oh no, it wasn't sensible because no one would know who these people are. He said he walked into the St Kilda Football Club and there was a huge mural on the wall of Nick Riewoldt, good on him, and someone else, footballer, and he said there was no picture of Darryl Baldock, Alan Jeans or Barry Breen, who won them their only premiership. Wouldn't you think they'd be in the front foyer of the thing? And I said, well, that's a reasonable point. And then someone, Ivan, I think, said, well, the kids of today wouldn't have no. And I said, well, that's the very point, isn't it? Surely they've only silverware they've ever won was due to those three people. Well, those, not there was a team of people that did that, but he was the coach, Baldock was the captain, and Barry Breen kicked the point. Wouldn't you think they'd be up in the front foyer of the clubhouse, or is this?
Look, I think if you no, I think at the front, as an image at the front as you walk in for kids, and that needs to be the more modern players. But inside you have your museum, and they should be at the front of the museum because they're the historical only premiership players.
So what happens when Nick Riewoldt is not? This is in 15 years when he's not recognised by the kids. We just put someone else up, do we?
No, he goes into the museum and you put up the next superstar,
I see.
Which will be Max King this year or next year.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So how did you see the? We've given the Welcome to Country a nice touch up.
Well, I was just about to say, have I missed the Welcome to Christmas Day ceremony today?
Well,
by you?
Yeah.
Have you made a speech yet?
No, we're really down on the Welcome to Country.
Are you?
Not down on the people who are.
I think it was interesting. I was just at the bakehouse with several wogs, Greeks and Italians, and we laughed about how no one's offended by the word wog. Everyone's been called a wog all their life, and they love it. And I've got plenty of wog mates: Spiro Korkamilis, Alex Marcoux, etc.
Yes,
but these days, everything else is offensive, but wogs aren't.
Yes, but we don't want to call Indigenous people anything else than they're Australians and our friends and our countrymen.
Well, back in the day, I managed a lot of Indigenous Aboriginal players, some great players, and I used to joke to them that I don't manage anyone with a darker tan than me, and they used to laugh at that all the time. And now, if you said it in 2024, you'd be kicked out of the AFL.
Yes, but the point about the Welcome to I'm not going to go. Yeah. It's not about disrespect. It's just respecting people for what?
Everyone needs to be
crept in. It's a hoax. It's nonsense. Keep going on about it, and it just gathers strength, and no one ever pushes back on it.
Going forward, our biggest hero in sport, probably in the next 10 years, is going to be a very, very dark teenager. Gok. Or his name is Gok. Gok.
What's he?
He's Sudanese, born in Sudan.
And born in Australia,
not
isn't he?
Born in Sudan, but sorry.
Is he born in Australia?
I honestly don't know. I don't think he was. Or he was he? He was born in Australia, okay.
I think he's an Aussie.
He's quick.
I don't think he's a seventh generation Western District farmer, but I think he's one of us.
Yeah, okay.
And there we are. Good on him.
Yeah, good on him. He's... I think it's great for everyone to see someone like that come through. It's exciting for everyone. It will actually create the dreams of many teenagers in Australia to become what he will become, or already is.
I know, and I wanted to ask you, is it a good thing that we have, there's an Indigenous team going to play the rest of Australia, isn't there, coming up?
Gee, you put me on the spot there. When I heard about it, I thought, I thought it was a good idea, as in, just for an interest point of view.
Having Indigenous players.
Well, there's a dramatic drop off of Indigenous players getting drafted at the moment. Now, I don't know the reason for that. I can only guess what it is, but...
what is the reason, do you think?
I think the Hawthorn thing's had a big effect on it. Perhaps the reluctance of clubs to want to get involved if they're going to be accused of things that don't happen.
Oh, yes, I see what you mean, yeah.
Etc. But... also, too, there's a big surge in the Sudanese because of their athleticism. You've only got to look at Hawthorn, who have got a couple of Sudanese players who have gone from nobodies to stars already because of their athleticism.
Yes, and didn't the...
well, they're the Sam Newmans of today in the ruck. They're
the Sudanese are the Sam Newmans of the day?
Yeah, they are, because you were ahead of your time, and a lot of the athletic ruckmen were ahead of their time. I mean, if I'd seen you back in 1960, I probably would have signed you up just behind Wayne Carey, I think, but who knows? I hope he's not listening,
So you're currently handling any players, or have you...
everyone asks me that, but I don't. I don't manage people, but people come to me for Sam Newman, or they come to me for Sue Stanley, or they come to me for...
You counsel
doesn't
people.
Matter. Dane Swan, Wayne Carey, it doesn't matter.
Hey?
I don't. No, don't cancel too
much.
No, actually, sorry, I do. There's a very prominent player in the AFL at the moment who I'm helping. get over some problems he's had, and he's absolutely flying at the moment. So I'm pretty happy with the experiences I've learned over the years to help him.
Well, Wayne, who's a regular member, he's on a counselling. He has a woman called Tess.
Yes.
Who channels her through making him a better person.
Oh, she's very good. She's very.
You know Tess?
Yeah, I do. I know her very well, and
She hasn't been helping you, has she?
No, she hasn't needed to help me. So I'm beyond help, Sam.
Self-help.
I'm beyond help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing with yourself? You track and square?
Yeah. I'm actually really excited about next year. There's a pilot documentary being made on me starting in March, which you're getting interviewed for. And Gracie, if you're out there listening, she's told me not to say too much about it because we don't want it in the media.
Well, hang on a minute. There's a doco being made about you.
Look, it was already scripted.
There's one being made about Warwick,
ago.
Isn't it? Warwick says he's on Netflix.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen him on there. I've seen him on other things.
What do they do in a doco on you? The great Chicken Nixon.
It's about
rags to riches.
Look, it's
and then back to rags.
The documentary is the true story. The actual TV series side of it, if it happens, is going to be part fictional, but the underbelly of AFL, where a lot of things that people don't know and are going to be very curious about it, they're going to find out about them.
And what was I going to...
I'll give you an example. Ricky's walking down Lygon Street to meet Ted Whitten.
This is you?
This is me. He's walking down Lygon Street.
You're speaking about yourself in the third person.
I'm giving the script here.
Ricky's walking down. I'm walking down. Yeah, go on.
I'm walking down Lygon Street to meet Ted Whitten. And I hear this say, "Chicken, get your ass over here." I look across and it's Mick Gatto. I said, "Mick, I haven't got time." He said, "Get your ass over here now." I go over and sit down and I feel a hand touch me under the table. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "There you go, there's 50 grand. I said, "What's that for?" He goes, "Just get Wayne Carey to Collingwood or otherwise you won't be around much longer." That's the sort of stories that it's about. You seem fascinated, Sam.
I'm fascinated if is that true?
Very close to the truth. Mick's a good mate of mine, and I've told him about it. He goes, "Yeah, Chicken, I'm fine with that."
Good. And so 50 fat ones. 50,
I'm not sure it was 50. I'm not sure it was 50, but anyway.
50 fatties under the table. And how many of the fatties did you just ease
I think
away?
Wayne got 10. I got 40. I think from memory. But anyway.
Yeah.
Someone has to seal the deal.
So
he didn't get to Collingwood,
Mick
did he?
Mick tried to get Wayne Carey to go to Collingwood through you, did he?
Yeah.
So this is part of the. Is this Netflix?
Look,
no.
I'd have to say, and I just want to make sure anyone who's listening understands, he was being very sarcastic at the time. It was a bit of a joke, if that makes sense.
I see.
Yeah.
So these are the
but
things.
It did happen.
These are the things that are going to be in the doco.
Yeah, there's lots of stories that people don't know about that will fascinate people. Things that I know and seen and done with Darren Hinch that people don't know about, for example, will be exposed. Now, that's got you intrigued, hasn't it?
Yeah, like what?
I'm not going to say. That's where the interest will be.
I see. Well,
I mean, the things that people read in newspapers and TV ain't the truth half the time, so they're going to find out the truth, what really happens. They won't go to their graves wondering.
When is this coming out?
Well, it's the pilot's being done first, and then it's up to you either get it onto a Netflix or a Stan or a whatever or a Foxtel or this new Daz or what's it called?
Dan's.
Or
isn't it Dan's?
Or otherwise you stream it yourself, and these days which you do with your podcast, etc.
Chicken Nixon exposed.
And guess what it's called? White line fever.
White line
fever. Works both ways, on the ground and off the ground. Jesus. I've got you stumbling today. You're stumbling.
White line. That's the only thing you didn't snort up was the white line around the boundary.
We were talking about this on the weekend. If you did cocaine 10 years ago, you're a heroin addict. Now, I went to 3 Christmas parties this week.
Now you're a hero.
And yeah, you're a hero just about. If you've got some on, you're a hero.
Is there anyone beside you and I not on it at the minute?
Well, this at a function I was at 3 weeks ago, 53 people were there, and I said we joked about the queue to the men's toilets, and I said, out of interest, anyone on this table who hasn't done cocaine? Everyone there had done it. Some hadn't done it for 20 years or whatever and don't do it now, but they had tried it. As a wise policeman said to me once, if we don't legalise marijuana, cocaine and ecstasy, this was 10 years ago, this drug ice will destroy the world. Fast forward to 2024, all the crimes every morning, fires, boat bashing, stabbings are all driven by this drug ice.
A lot of people don't do cocaine. A lot of them say they don't mind the smell of it, but they don't do it.
Yeah, not a bad comeback. I've heard you've had more lines than Telstra, but anyway.
I've had more lines than
That's
Telstra.
a Warwick Kappa joke, that one.
Is it?
Yeah.
So you see, how is the great warding off between you and Walker? How's that going?
Oh, last time I saw him, he cuddled me that hard. He nearly broke 3 of my ribs. So, no, I'm fine with Warwick. Warwick's Warwick. Nothing's going to
Warwick
change.
And Ricky's Ricky.
Yeah, correct.
The
Why
chicken
change
and the
who you are?
whiz.
Yeah. I've met some pretty good characters over the years. Sam Newman, Trevor Marmalone I saw the other day. Geez, he was funny on the footy show. I actually watched the replay of that show the other day, that how they did a 30-year reunion, and some of his jokes on there were bloody hilarious, weren't they?
They're good. He was a star.
And the look on your face at times was it's just as funny.
That's it. And now what about Gary Ablett Sr.? We heard from him.
Yes, in fact, you've just made
Ask
me...
him would he like to come onto the podcast. I actually texted him, said, how about you come onto the podcast?
Well, I'll talk to... Well, what I might do is I'll bring up something now. Once again, I'm not being told not to say too much about it, but there's a Club 10 reunion plan for this year.
Club 10.
Which I created in 1995, which was famously the best... Well, it wasn't 10 players. It was sponsored by Mitre 10 back in those days. So it was meant to be 10 out of 10. So I had... The initial group was... Ablett, Carey, Lockett, Dunstall, Greg Williams, Gary Lyon, Gavin Brown, Glenn Jakovich, Matthew Richardson, Gavin Wanganeen, and Stuart Lowe were in the original group.
Well,
and then I had
remembering all them.
And then I had to add some players who sort of started to play all right. Ben Cousins, Michael Voss, Tony Modra, who's a good mate of mine, ripper bloke Tony. And people underestimate how good a player Tony Modra was. If you watch his highlights, they're as good as Gary. I think Gary Ablett Sr. is the best player ever to watch. Wayne Carey's the greatest player of all time. But, Tony Modra was an exciting player to watch.
What about
You
Warwick?
should get him on here, Tony Modra. Yeah.
Well, I'll see if you could organise it, will you? What about Warwick? He was...
Oh, look, Warwick was a bit the same. He was a character and very freakish type player with the high marks, which what Tony Modra was as well. So
And kicked 100 goals.
once, He's only 16 players have kicked 100 goals, which surprised me. Only 16 players in the history of the game.
16, is there?
Well, but that's what it was. Well, that was what Warwick told me 10 years ago. Has anyone kicked 100 since then? I don't think so. No.
So in 10 years, has anyone kicked 100?
I don't think anyone's kicked more than 80.
No, I don't. I think you're right. And
Which is how the game is played. I watched a game the other day. I flicked on Foxtel at 10 o'clock Sunday morning. It was a game on from 1985. And it was, from memory, it was Richmond and Essendon. And in both teams, there was like 12 or 15 superstars and one-on-one contests. And then I thought, Patrick Cripps, Bontempelli, would they get a game against those guys back in 85? I mean, you can't compare the games because they're totally different these days. But it's interesting what some people are saying to me about football these days, that they just don't watch. They watch 10 minutes here, but they don't watch the whole game anymore. Find that interesting.
Yes. Because it's been sanitised almost beyond.
It's going backwards, round and round in circles and all that. I just can't cop that. If I switch on the TV and they're doing that, I just switch it off.
So what else is happening in the football world, Ricky, or in your world?
I think
did you tell me were you tracking square or not?
No, I only track in circles, mate. I don't go in squares. Sorry. There's no point going around corners in your life, Sam. You should know
you
that.
were going out with someone.
I'm loving the single life. I'm actually really enjoying myself.
Are you?
Well, as a wise man said to me, who was older than me, that at 61, Ricky, you don't need a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour girlfriend.
Absolutely correct.
But you can be friends with, and I am with several close girls, and we go out for dinner and we have a good time. But we don't have to live together to be with each other.
And you've never thought of
that might change soon. Who knows?
It could, and you could go out with male friends. You never thought of moving across to the other side, have you? Just
actually, I've been asked that a few times.
People get asked that a lot.
Well, I mean,
get chatted up.
I guess I'm not boasting about it, but I've never really even thought about it. So
you've never thought about going out with another bloke?
No.
Well,
in fact, I think you even just saying it now is making me feel not embarrassed, edgy. Not as in edgy, probably it's not my go.
Yeah, because you're heterosexual.
Yeah. Well, I've kissed Wayne Carey a few times when, probably Michael
kissed
Voss
him
when
on
he
the
won
arse.
the premiership
Yeah.
3 times. But yeah, that's a bit different to
Oh.
sexual romance, I think. But no, next year's football, I've done an interesting analogy of this year, or the last 2 years, and that is the premierships have been won by father-sons. This year, the Newman Smith medalist Ashcroft was a father-son. Last year, when Collingwood won it, they had 4 father-sons in there. People don't realise that, the 2 Dacosses and Darcy Moore, father-son, but so was Tom Mitchell. His father played a few games at Collingwood, even though he was a Sydney star. So I think this year's premiership will be decided by the father-sons. Carlton, ironically, have 2 father-sons this year. Western Bulldogs have 4 father-sons on their list. So it's going to be decided by the father-sons.
So it's just the gene pool just coming to the surface.
Yes. Well, the biggest sport in Australia is not football, like people say, or rugby. It's actually horse racing. And all of that's decided on genes as well.
Hang on. What's that, chicken?
The biggest sport in Australia is technically horse racing because it's a horse race during the daylight hours. Every 1 minute it can't be every one. It must be 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes there's a horse race. So therefore, you'd have to say it's the biggest sport in Australia.
And with the gene pool, you're talking about the horses or the jockeys?
The horses. The buying of horses is predominantly based on the gene pool.
But this is animal genes.
Yeah, animal genes. Well, what are humans? They're not animals.
They're mammals.
Do you think who created us? Well, someone just waved a wand one day and suddenly 2 humans appeared on Earth, did they?
We're mammals.
We're mammals, are we?
Aren't we?
I don't know. I think we're apes. Are they mammals too?
We're called simians, aren't we?
Simians. Well, I'm tipping that we've come from Africa out of the bush somewhere, and we've wandered across to Australia somewhere.
Aren't mammals those that suckle their young? No, but we're not animals.
Yes, we are.
Humans.
Yeah, no, we're animals.
Are we?
Yeah. Well, what do horses
Holy
have? They
shit.
have 4 legs. We just have 2 arms. We call them arms. Why aren't they 4 legs? We've got 4 legs. Why are they called arms? Got you stumbling now, haven't I? Why are they called arms when they're actually legs?
We're called. We're not primates. We're called simians, aren't we?
Simians.
Keep talking. I'm going to look this up. Sue's looking at simian.
Look it up.
What is
please,
a human? A human is a mammal. Simian.
Well, let me ask you this question. It's always there's actually apparently a documentary on this, which I might look it up tonight. Is where did Earth come from? It has to have come from somewhere. How was it created? How was the sun created? I mean, where did everything start? Where
You're not going to believe this, but I'm
fascinated by it.
Well, I was listening to a man saying with the new telescopes and the new rockets that we've put into the atmosphere, and they can look back into. He says there are trillions and trillions of galaxies out there. He said there's more stars out there than there are grains of sand in the world.
Really?
Now you try and quantify that.
Which means it's pretty big, the universe. But where does the universe stop and start? Is there a gate or a fence or something like that?
That's why it's called infinity. I think Google means unlimited. What's it?
Because the world doesn't really exist. I mean, it exists as Earth is the world, I suppose. But the actual no one knows where the universe stops and starts. Talk to me, Sam. Talk to me.
Well, I'm just looking up. Yeah, Homo sapiens means thinking man or wise man. Homo sapien, Homo greater. They are characterized as great apes. Simian. What's a simian? Simian is an ape, I think.
Simian.
We're Homo sapiens.
Yeah, Homo sapiens. Yeah.
Jesus, there we go.
Used to be always called a homo when we were younger.
Yeah, Homo.
Don't offend anyone.
It's quite all right to call someone a homo.
Yeah. Well, back in the school days, it was, definitely words were used that can't be used today, but they were very funny back in school. I remember we used to call girls like Sue spunks. They were spunks, beautiful-looking women or girls.
Got that wrong, haven't I? Simian is any of the monkeys, apes classified. No, we're not simians. Apes are simians. Apes are simians. Are we a mammal? Well, mammals. Well, look, are we? Go ahead, Ricky. Just a mammal. I'm looking up mammal.
Oh, okay, I will.
Right, a mammal. The vertebrate or class Mammalia have
those
the body
listening.
or more or less covered with hair, nourishing the young with milk. That's suckling the mammary glands, and with the egg laying. No, we're not mammals. All right. Okay. So we're humans. How'd we get onto that?
I'm not
the
sure.
gene pool.
We were talking about
Premature ejaculation
yes.
is hereditary.
Is it?
Yeah, it comes in your genes.
Oh, you're on fire today. It's Christmas Day and he's on fire. So
Now go on. What else?
imagine how many people are having a great Christmas Day listening to this today.
Oh no, we've already interviewed. Do you remember Nikki Whelan?
Yes.
Well, you interviewed her. I interviewed her last week or a week ago.
Who sets up all your interviews?
Well,
Combination of you and Sue,
we
or is it
just
you?
people suggest
Or
things,
people.
and Sue gets some. Sue rounds some of them up. So, Nikki, do you remember Nikki Whelan?
Yes.
She went over and became an actress over in.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Did you know her?
We were talking about some of the famous actors back in the day who went to Hollywood. I'm trying to think of the famous song of the Tasmanian guy.
Yeah.
What was his name? He went to
Yeah.
and became this instant Hollywood success.
Oh
my God.
No.
I was about to talk about memory loss, and here we go. We're going straight into it. Australian Crawl used to sing the song, I'm pretty sure.
Gee, that's pathetic.
Yes,
That is
look
so
it up for us, Sue,
pathetic.
get us out of it.
No, I know. Ted Hamilton went over.
Yeah.
Remember Ted Hamilton?
Ted Hamilton?
No, you don't remember Ted Hamilton.
No.
Russell Crowe's New Zealander, isn't he?
Russell Crowe's New Zealand, yes. And like Chris Hemsworth these days.
That bloke from the Tasmania.
I know. Everyone listening to this knows the answer except us two. Just type in famous Tasmanian actor of the 60s, I'd say.
That's bad. No.
No, he's a cricketer. Dennis Lilly.
Dennis Lilly.
Yeah. He's a very good cricketer.
That's Errol
Flynn.
Thank you
That's
very
it.
much.
That is
Errol
it.
Flynn,
Errol
yeah.
Flynn. 1930s, was he? Well, I was a bit out in the 60s. Errol Flynn. And everyone at home listening to this now is going, oh, God, you guys are so bad. Talking about memory loss, it's interesting doing a bit of research lately on if you handwrite, how it can help your memory retention.
If you what?
Handwrite as much as you can these days because we're all on our
Right.
phones, yes.
Yeah.
And you handwrite a lot. I handwrite everything down now. And it might help some people who are out there struggling a bit on memory loss, etc. Because
Just write with do handwriting.
Yeah, handwriting. Because what your brain does is it thinks about what it has to do to create the letter A or B or C. You have to think to do it. On your phone, when you tap with your finger, you don't have to think anything. It's just tap, tap, tap.
This
Tap,
has been
tap,
a
tap.
revelation today, Chicken. People think you're a numbskull, but you've told us about mammals, the planets,
also food.
handwriting, memory loss.
Food that makes a difference. I've noticed lately I've been eating oats for breakfast with, it's not rocket science, with fruit, but also tuna, yogurt, and wholemeal mix wraps. Makes a big difference to your brain retention.
This is extraordinary stuff.
So get off the McDonald's, Sam. Get off out of Hungry Jack's.
So oats.
Yep, oats in the morning.
Yeah.
With a wrap, a wholemeal wrap with and peanut, nuts, the cashews, etc. are great for you, but I use peanut butter. And yogurt is great for your digestion. Gets you pooping every morning at the same time. Instantly comes out the same colour.
Thank you.
And tuna, well, it's not rocket science. Fish has been one of the best foods for a long time because it helps your blood flow, your circulation of your blood. So there you go, Sam. You might live another 79 years away you go. In fact, that just reminds me, is it your birthday today?
No.
No, hang on, it can't be. It's Christmas Day today. I forgot, isn't it?
It's
Yesterday.
No, it wasn't yesterday.
22nd.
It's Kevin Sheedy's
It's Kevin Sheedy's birthday today.
Yesterday.
Yes. Happy birthday, Sheeds.
24th he was.
Yep, and also Nick Dimitrakoulis, who owns the Bakehouse, or did till a few weeks ago, our good friend.
Yeah.
It's his birthday today as well.
So have you been jettisoned
Sorry,
out of...
it's his birthday yesterday.
Yes.
Yesterday.
Have you been jettisoned out of... Are you living in the flat above the bakehouse?
Yes, well, Nick has been a great friend of mine. He's selling up and moving up to the farm in Benalla, and he's been a very successful businessman for a long time.
Well, look, Ricky, it's... Chicken man, it's great that now I told Suzanne and Suzanne this, and she said that she'd seen it on Facebook. You told me that you get limousines and you drive around with people in the back of limousines and you take out and you entertain them in the back of the limousine.
Yep.
And you do that.
Yeah, we've done 4 of them this week and doing one this Saturday.
Well, so how does that work, Chicken?
Well, it's not that much different. Oh, it's probably different to a sports night. It's just...
what, the 6 of you in the back of a car?
Well, you talk in the back and someone goes, what was it like managing Wayne Carey? And you go straight into a story. And then what's it like managing Gary Ablett? Or what was it like managing Ben Cousins?
To the 5 people just assembled in the back of the car.
There was 16 in one on Saturday.
Oh, in the Hummer.
Yeah, it's a 22-seater Hummer, and it was the longest, biggest Hummer I've ever seen in my life. It was as long as Bay Street, and it's certainly turned a few heads. We went from Creswick, which was up near, it's above Ballarat, to Geelong.
Did it have 3 wheels at the back?
Yeah, it had 4, not 3. How can you have 3 wheels? I know what you mean.
No, 3 wheels on each side of the back. 6 wheels. It was...
No, it only had 4.
Triple bogey.
No,
at
it
the
only
back.
had 4.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, when I was in it on my own, I got a surprise as we went over the Westgate Bridge. It was very bumpy and bouncing up and down. But then as soon as we got the people in it, it was very spongy, if that makes sense, because of the weight, obviously.
What sort of folk want to gravitate towards the chicken in the back of a Hummer?
Well, here's the absolute difference, I suppose, was I went with a company a painting company in Creswick, but it was basically the owner and his wife and his kids, as well as their relatives and their apprentices and the painters, and you know,
their
it was a really
idea
big
of
mix.
a good night
Christmas
out
party.
was you in the back of a Hummer, and you in the back of a Hummer entertaining a family of people.
Being Santa Claus, basically. Yeah.
Holy shit!
And then this week I'm going to the cricket on not Boxing Day, on the Saturday, with some friends from Tallangatta, some boys who've come down for a Bucks night. The night before.
Is that Tallangatta?
Tallangatta, sorry. So I say it wrong every time. Even when I was at the footy club, they say, Ricky, it's not Tallangatta, it's Tallangatta. Anyway, they're going to the MCG to the cricket, and then I'm picking them up at 6:30, and we're going for a cruise around the city for an hour, and then we're off to a pub. So look out, Melbourne. There could be an earthquake Saturday night.
We'll probably read about it in the police files.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Well, what else? Is that it?
I think that's it, Sam.
All right. Well, thanks for dropping by.
Thanks for having me in.
The chicken.
And Merry Christmas. Have a great Christmas day today, and hope you all enjoy your day.
There he is, the chicken.